This is Talking My Walking. I am Rodrigo Ribeiro, just another voice in the wilderness. Today I want to talk about the myth of capitalism being a market economy. The capitalist system is an economic or a political economic system. It is a cultural, it is a hegemonic cultural, ideological, uh, and it is that codifies into law, that legalizes exploitation and plunder and eternal expansion and growth, uh, while creating the moral codes to glorify it. This is what capitalism is. The market economy. I mean, we can have a socialist market economy. Um, and it's much more, I mean, a mixed economy. Many people talk about a mixed economy. What is a mixed economy? Uh, People are looking for profit, so to build a business or a company or whatever it is, looking for profit company, which makes sense in to incentivize people to build those businesses. Okay, but the bulk of the economy, and especially finance and banking, okay, especially finance and banking, needs to be controlled by the state. There is no reason whatsoever, and this is a delusion that people think that we have to gain anything. Yes, some people do. In the rich countries, 10% of the population that has bonds or whatever it is they have, and they play these game hedge funds and the futures and all these derivatives market and this and that. Of course, the ones that really profit out of it is the 0.1%. And then you have the 1%. And then you have 10% of the population that somehow, in some ways, they really gain something out of this reality. But the rest of the population, even most of the so-called middle class, does not. Because this is a fantasy. This is using money to make more money without in reality having, I mean, being useful to the real economy. What is the real economy? The real economy is us, is our activities, is how we produce food, how we take care of each other. Is all the part of the services and the production and distribution, transformation and distribution that really make society functional. That is the real economy. The financial economy has only one use. Let me put this way. As books or knowledge have only one, have the purpose of allowing us to have a better, the right books, to have a better understanding of reality, like how to understand the natural mechanisms and processes, and all the rest, and the engineering, all that things that we know. The same goes for money. Money is a tool. Money should not be something that some certain people can have the power to dictate who gets it or not, or for what purposes. So money should never be controlled by private hands. And until we understand it, we don't understand what capitalism is. Because capitalism is not a market economy. Capitalism instrumentalizes and weaponizes the market economy for the benefit of 1% and especially 0.1% of the population. And the rest of us have to fight. Most of us have to fight over cramps, and certain part of the population is fighting to have a successful career, to be part of the professional managerial class, to have some sort of business, which is more and more difficult because monopolistic capitalism and financial capitalism, they work together in order to create these huge transnational monopolies that control everything. They are supposed to control the natural resources, mineral resources, land, agricultural land, and they want to control everything. This is capitalism, not market economy. And for us, the ones that are at least 90% of the population, we do not gain. Forget the trickle-down economics and all the BS that we are bombarded with. We do not benefit with it. And it's the proof. It's here in Europe. When did we, most of us, have a better life? A better, so-called well-being economy. When was it? It was during the period when the Soviet Union was, the communism, it started. They started to have this concept of social democracy in order, which is some sort of mixed economy, in order to calm down, in order to control the rise of socialism and communism across Europe, because it was strong during the war period and after the second war and after that. So by giving people more rights, labor rights, social rights, by creating a welfare system, they made sure, by creating a society that was that people were not, there was always poor people, but it was at least there was a strong middle class, which is important to keep liberals in power, to keep the capitalist class, and to create political apathy, which means to transform people into consumers and spectators, and instead making them lose interest in politics, because they are well fed, they have they can buy, they can go in nice vacations, they enjoy health, free or almost free health care and education, that people start to be slowly to move slowly away from politics for the most part, because there was not much to fight for. We have everything we need. We can educate our children. We can have a nice house. We can, I mean, it's affordable. Everything is affordable. Therefore, why should we? I mean, this is not necessarily a conscious mental process, but is the trend that becomes to be the trend in the society. So, capitalism, people tend to, I mean, there are people I really respect that have this idea that industrial capitalism then will, I mean, like the Marxist idea that industrial capitalism and then to move slowly to, no, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that because capitalism is not a market economy. The foundations of capitalism is the concentration, is the primacy of profit, private property rights, wealth accumulation, and power and concentration of power. That's why, wealth buys power. Unlimited wealth buys unlimited power, and we need to grasp our minds around this. It is important that we understand it like that. Because there are many people talking about capitalism. Capitalism is not like this. This is just this and that. No, that's capitalism. Capitalism is a market economy. There are people looking for profits. There is also private property. Okay, this is not what I'm saying. What I would like to. For a society, okay? That's the reality of a market economy. But with a strong, and it must be with a strong state intervention, because the moment the state and the government is just the manager of the state institutions, the operating system, the moment the plutocrats and the oligarchs take control, which means that they accumulate enough wealth and concentrate enough private property, they will have the power to buy. They will have enough wealth and influence to buy political power. And when they buy political power, it's always for the same reasons. It's always to enhance the rules, to codify into law the rights of private property, of proprietary rights, of wealth, through whatever means, through this invention of fiscal paradises, or it doesn't matter. They will create, and then that's why I like so much the Frederick Bastiat quote. They will create also the moral codes, the moral narratives, to glorify their class, to use the myths of the meritocracy, entrepreneurship, and this and that, to convince us, the many, that we are all a bunch of losers. Otherwise, we would be successful like them. How would that work? How could we all be rich? How would that work in every level? Because it's the very system that creates elitism. And that's why many people don't get it. This capitalist system was created and built on a pre-existing system, a caste system. It transformed the caste system into a class system. And this is very, very important to understand. That this is one of the main, or maybe the main point that we need to understand about capitalism. Capitalism as a class system. There is no such thing in capitalism as a level playing field. Not at all. So, the more we confuse capitalism with market economy, the more delusional and deceived we are, the easily deceived we are about the reality of capitalism. Okay? We can have a mixed economy, and always, that's why people that demonize the state, that don't understand, by buying into the narratives that demonize the state and the government, they are being deceived, because the state and the government is only reflects who is in power, the power distribution or concentration. Okay? And by power, I mean economic power, political power, cultural power, and social power for sure. We cannot separate. We need to understand these spheres in a holistic way, in a comprehensive way, to understand how they interact with each other, to control our minds and bodies, to shape our behavior, to shape our perception, how we perceive the reality and ourselves, and how we relate to each other. This is not something that we need to think about it, to reflect. We need to reflect what is the relevance in our lives of political thought, of class understanding. Because we live in a class, caste in some cases, reality, societal system. And we need to see through these lenses if we want to understand what is capitalism, and not confuse it with the market economy. Because if we believe that we should still have private property, which I believe we shouldn't, okay? But this is another point. No, this is a little bit. But if we believe, and most of us does, that we should have private property, that we should have it's very to admit that profit should be part of business and blah blah blah. So the best system for us, for those that believe it, is a socialist market economy. Is not capitalism. And the reason, and it's because first and foremost, capitalism is a system that uses capital to make more capital, okay? To generate, to reproduce more capital. And usually capitalism always ends up in becoming feudalistic. And why? Because at some point, rentier capitalism, parasitic capitalism, financial capitalism becomes more profitable, or that means speculation, and all the fees that goes, and interest, and compound interest, and all the rest, is more profitable than to create productive, to reproduce the economy through productive means, through not because of jobs. I'm not talking about jobs. I'm talking about producing the goods and service that we really need. Because there's another discussion: what kind of economy should we have? In my opinion, should have a sufficiency and reciprocity economy, a socio-ecological, political economy. But that's another discussion. That's why capitalism is more than it's never, it will always end up being controlled by a psychopathic, sociopathic, psychopathic, narcissistic, megalomaniacal class of plutocrats and oligarchs. And they will destroy everything to keep their control of the wealth and power. They will destroy the fabric of society, because they are the traits, the dominant traits that are dominant in them are antisocial, anti-life. It's about controlling everything. It's about using whatever means necessary to keep accumulating wealth, to have more control, which means that these people seek hegemony. That's why they don't care about genocide and ecocide. It's not in their nature. They are the true. This is what capitalism creates, and not only what capitalism creates. This is what these people make out of capitalism. And only a system where wealth is controlled on a maximum, you have to have a maximum ceiling for the accumulation of wealth. Even if you believe that is part of the meritocracy, the right to enjoy the wealth, the part of the wealth that you have, if you believe that Microsoft, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk, and whoever it is, okay, doesn't matter. They have the right because they were the ones. No, first and foremost, nobody. This is another delusion. Nobody makes it alone. Okay, they might be very, very good in organizing. That's one of their strong points. Use others. They are very clever in using others to achieve certain objectives. By using it can be innovation, whatever it is, engineer this and that they do, they are really strong. Usually they are not good engineers, they are not good scientists, they are good they have good ideas about what they can do, they can achieve. Look at Peter Thiel, analyze the guy, or this Alex Karp that works with him, or this other, or Bill Gates, or Elon Musk, or I mean all the people that, or all these oligarchs and plutocrats. They have their own agendas, of course, but they work also as a class. They are more conscious. They have more class consciousness than most of us, and that is a problem, a huge problem. So this is capitalism. This has nothing to do with the market economy. That for us, if we believe in the market economy, if you want a market economy, a socialist market economy with a strong government, with money and finance and banking controlled by the government, by the state, would be for us a much by far a better system than this right, this supreme right, like John Locke, you know, the private property rights. You know, it has a natural right. It's not a natural right. It has never been a natural right. And if you go back in history, so many peoples that have lived before us, they even didn't have the concept for private property, or capitalism, or even for self. They knew they could not survive alone. It is only myths based on pseudoscientific knowledge, you know, from, I mean, many fields, in the social sciences, in the humanities in general, and also in other sciences. You know, but so this is a totally corrupt system, because you need to understand that we have at least 500 years of this mercantile capitalism and industrial capitalism and financial capitalism, and all of this. We have this history, these academic fields, but also science, and so many that have been shaped by this very system. The analysis, the studies, the models, most of them come from this like you know, like the bare rock, you know, like the where everything comes from. We need to understand this ideology of this caste, capitalist, feudalistic ideology comes from this bedrock of ideas that they are everywhere, and they influence everything, including how we perceive ourselves, how we understand the socio-cultural condition of human nature, how we distort it. And this needs to be part of the conversation, part of the political conversation, part of the cultural conversation. We either want to be humans, or we want to be this pseudo. This pseudo identity that we have, that transforms us to a certain extent, that we need to be sociopathic. We need to be the pursuit of self-interest makes us sociopathic. We need to be sociopathic in order to be successful. It doesn't mean that we lose completely the ability to feel compassion, to feel empathy, to cooperate, and to reciprocate. No, we don't lose it at all. We don't necessarily lose it. but we suppress it. We make it secondary because we know if we do not do it, we know, and subconsciously, uh, our behavior, our habits, our thinking processes are shaped by these ideas, by these bedrock ideas in science, in philosophy, in politics, in everything, in arts, in culture, pop culture, and whatever it is. And most of us, unfortunately, I think most of us, unfortunately, do not feel uh, do not feel curiosity, interested in learning about all these processes. It is, as I always try to emphasize, we need to understand things as processes, systems, and relations. That's how we build ourselves. That's how we understand ourselves. That's how we understand nature and every system that exists. And unfortunately, it seems to me that we live in ideological and cultural cacophony. You know, it's just every single one of us kind of, you know, trying to have our little bubble of, to be, because we just reproduce these models of celebrities, these roles, celebrities, and follow these paradigms and these patterns and these habits that are not helpful at all if we want to understand who we are as humans. Oh, this is my honest thinking, and it's my observation. This is how I've been always analyzing people. Since very young age, I don't, maybe teenage, that I always, I always was, talking with my friends and people that I knew, and I could understand their points, and usually they would not be able, or they would always push back against my points, or I would just not even talk about them. And most of the time, most of the commentaries, because I was, since a very young age, I was very interested in the commentaries. That was a very good, in the second channel, in the Portuguese RTP2, there was that was part of my education. It was very useful, and also in other channels, but especially there was a big thing in my education. Documentaries, science, ecology, arts, literature, all the things. That was very, very important to me. Most of the time, I had not a single friend or acquaintance would have had the interest on watching them. So I was basically talking to myself, as I'm still talking to myself these days. This is the truth. That you can't, most of the time, I understand the points of other people, and I can see that I'm just, if I want to explain, okay, that's true, but there is also this and this and this, and it's always a wall, or most of the time is a wall there, as if I'm trying to walk in mind terrain, or in prohibited, in some, there is taboos, and there is stigma, and there is this and that. It seems that as if it is this mentality that you need to be either or, for or against. No nuance, no, no complexity, no this understanding through the understanding of processes and systems and relations, but all kind of everything in a kind of linear way. Okay, this has never worked with me. Never. I need to understand it by myself, of course, through the knowledge and the experience of others. That's why I always emphasize that we all are bits and pieces of other people's knowledge and experience. This is a very important point to me as well. I do respect a lot of the work, even with people I don't agree with. It's most of the time I don't fully agree. But that, nevertheless, it's important to me, and I admire and respect many people. But I don't idolize them. I mean, that's not the way to go. That's not the way we progress as individuals, and that's not the way also to respect and build the collective well-being. It's not through the idolization of leaders, of heroes, of saviors, of gurus, of experts and this and authorities and this and that we will create the collective well-being. Okay? It has to be through different lenses. But those lenses need to be, I mean, we have the ability to be skeptical, and you have the ability to you have the natural, innate ability for critical thinking. But we need to train it. We need to understand how our mind works, our cognitive, affective processes work. We need to understand language framing and language manipulation and logical fallacies and all the rest. How do you think we can have a critical analysis? It doesn't work like that as part of us as being cultural beings. Okay, this is going to be all for today. Thanks for listening. I will be back soon.